So I was thinking, this time to just like keep you unmuted and you can just ask questions as they come up.
Sure.
Um, and we'll still just keep it to like 30 or 45 minutes and just keep it like a shorter session. But yeah, just because I found it was, a little bit weird, like being like muted the whole time. And anyway, so we'll just try it out this time and then you can give me some feedback later on too, and we'll see. Because I have like 5 more to do or something like that. So
For sure.
different today.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll share my screen with you. You've probably seen this many times. You're not new to astrology. I thought about doing something completely different with you and doing like just a house reading.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested, we can do that a little bit or like at another time or something. But
Yeah,
then
I think that would be cool because then for like anyone who's watching the replay as well, like it'll kind of give them a little bit of like an intro to the houses because they can be so confusing. This might give it some like more like of a concept that they can like understand.
mhm, yeah, that would be great. Let's do that. I'll just go over like your big three first. And then we'll just like go through the houses in order.
Okay.
Okay. So, of course, you're a Leo rising. So, as we talked about before, like really in this lifetime, really learning Leo and kind of becoming a Leo. Um, so, with Leo, it's all about self-expression, speaking from the heart, just showing up and being the bright, shiny center of attention in the room that just brings all the love and all the self-expression and joy. Um, in this lifetime, it could be like pursuing your joy and really like prioritizing yourself rather than prioritizing the whole, the whole community, right? Um, yourself, your joy, but also like if you have or once you have kids and dependents, like really like having that be a expression for you or where you're kind of learning in this lifetime. And then you are a Sagittarius and you have Jupiter right on your ascendant. So Jupiter would be like a special, it's your ruling planet and it's also on your ascendant. So it's really cool. It's like when you have planets on the ascendant, it's like what people are attracted to. Like, say, if they have a strong Jupiter in their chart, um, they would be really attracted to this energy, but it's also just like what people will see up front. So that expansiveness, that personal growth, that teacher student energy, and that like constantly expanding and wanting to learn and grow, like yeah, it's like a big part of what you're rising into in this lifetime, which is great because you have so much Sagittarius energy too. um so it's like kind of helping you to have that planet there,
Mm-hmm.
fulfill your life purpose, yeah. And just like a big personality too, and like a big, because Jupiter makes everything bigger and more expansive.
Mm-hmm.
um it's at the 13th degree, which is a divine feminine number as well. And you can make that mean whatever you want, but I thought that was really cool. It's like right on your ascendant 13. And then you also have Venus and Black Moon Lilith together at the 13th degree of Sagittarius. So it's like this divine feminine number in um, fire signs. So it's like this fire goddess energy.
Can I ask about my Venus? Because it's one that I don't know a ton about, and kind of and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but like my impression about it is it's kind of like the things that we attract and are attracted to. So with it being in Sagittarius, like, does it mean that I attract like more growth and more travel and knowledge and that kind of stuff?
Hmm, I I think it kind of means that you like those things, and that you get like Venus is also where you get um like your abundance from. Yeah, so like attraction and receiving. So getting abundance from, yeah, like pursuing travel and education and expansion and personal growth. Yeah, for sure. And then just like because your sun is there too, um, and let's see, you have Juno and Mercury all there in Sagittarius as well. So it's like Venus being there, I think, is kind of a blessing. Like it adds a really like nice, lovely energy. Like we often get a lot of like just love and abundance from where Venus is. So it kind of adds just this really nice, beautiful energy to all of that Sagittarius energy. So I feel like kind of blessing like everything else that's in your fifth house and in Sagittarius, and making it like more like a enjoyable kind of energy. Um, yeah, and I probably like getting a lot from travel, really enjoying it, and like pursuing growth and for sure. And then it can also show us our relationships, our intimate relationships. So sometimes Sagittarians aren't the most like committed type, right? They just kind of like they get a lot of joy and abundance from relationships, and then they're ready to move on and they move on to something else. So that can be something with Venus in Sagittarius as well, is like how you pursue, how you go about being in relationships with other people. They're very far sighted, right? So yeah.
Yeah, with like commitment to like anything in general, I find that I'm very like 110% until I've given it everything that I can give it, or that I until it stops growing with me, you know? And then as soon as the thing becomes stagnant, I'm like, peace.
Yeah.
Like jobs or anything. It's like as long as I can grow, I'll give something like my everything. But as soon as it's stagnant, I'm like on to the next thing without even
Yeah.
contemplating
There you
it.
go. Yeah. Yeah. Um, So, and then of course you have a moon in Aries, so that completes your fire trine. Your big three are all in fire. Also, at the 22 degree, the 22nd degree of Aries, which is a master number, right? So that's just uh, kind of cool. Like it's a 22 is the master builder number. So, you can make that mean whatever you want. I don't know a lot about numerology, but I like when there's double numbers and special numbers that are repeating. You also have Saturn at the 22nd degree of Capricorn, so in the sixth house, which is also like Capricorn is master builder, sixth house is work and service, and then so it's kind of, I just thought that was kind of neat when there's like I said, like repeating numbers. It's like, oh, that's kind of a special number for you. So yeah, and then Aries is all about like initiating, starting, and the 22nd degree is master builder. So it's like that's kind of a cool balancing of those energies, I think,
I'm very good at starting things.
Yeah. And you're very like entrepreneurial, and so I feel like that kind of makes sense, like built, being a master builder. Yeah, and you're very good at starting things, but you do have like this Capricorn, lots of energy in the sixth house. Yeah, I mean lots of fire for sure. That's like lots of starting, not necessarily finishing. And then also like Leo's a fixed sign, and that's what you're learning in this lifetime. So perhaps like, yeah, like staying fixed and doing the thing might be something you're kind of like, working towards, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just go around the houses. So obviously the first house is ruled by the ascendant, Leo. So the first house represents your, and just if people don't know this, so all the planets that I was just pointing out, that's like at the time and place that Ali was born, all of those planets were in those positions for everyone at that time. So it's like taking a snapshot of where the planets were in the sky at the time that Ali was born. And And then the second wheel, the house system, and you know why this line is right here and why the house system is organized this way, is because at so you were born at what, in at nighttime,
yeah.
at like 10 p.m. But where the sun was rising at the time Ali was born, it was rising in the sign of Leo, um, somewhere else. So it would have been on the horizon, somewhere else in the sky. So that becomes Ali's rising sign. I hope that I'm explaining that right. And then so that becomes Ali's rising sign where the sun was rising, and then where the sun would have been at midnight at the time Ali was born, um, would have been, it's like right on in the middle of Libra and Scorpio here. And then where the sun would have been setting in the sky when Ali was born was in Aquarius, and that makes your seventh, your descendant. And the 10th house is where the sun was at noon, at the time she was born, and the midheaven. And then I'll explain what all of these mean, but that's how, and then I use a porphyry system, which is written right here. There's so many different house systems, and that gets really confusing too. But my teacher recommends this one because you find the rising sign, the IC, the MC, and the descendant, and then they split up the houses in the middle evenly. And there's other house systems that don't do that. There's different ways of calculating the houses. So this one just makes sense to me too. It's just even in the middle of those sections. So yeah, so that's kind of why there's like two wheels. The house system makes the astrology chart so much more personal. Yeah, and you can look at your chart without it as well. But it's so cool to see where these, the planets, like the energy of something, and then the sign that it's in is like how it's like coloring that energy, like how that energy is being expressed. And the houses show where that energy is being expressed. So what area of life. So the first house is ruled by the ascendant. So that's like your upbringing, the way you were raised to be in the world. It's what you're rising into in this lifetime, and who you're like rising into becoming. So you can see kind of a lot of your upbringing and how you were raised if there was planets in here. In Leo, perhaps you're that's how you were raised to sort of be in the world. You can kind of look back at your family dynamics growing up, and maybe you kind of learn from your family or from your upbringing to sort of be this like bright, shiny little being of, Leo, playful and whatever. And then, but it's what you're learning. It's what you're, we kind of like take things on from our childhood. Like, oh, I need to become this and learn this, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second house, and also you can, it's helpful to learn the houses, like they match up with the different zodiac signs too. So first house is like Aries, second house is related to Taurus, and it's your sense of security, your resources. It's like your castle, like what you have loaded up in your castle of security, I guess. How you deal with personal resources, finances. It can show you the health of your physical body as well.
Mm-hmm. What planet is that?
That is a asteroid, Pallas Athena.
Okay, because I didn't think I had anything in my second house, but I've never looked at asteroids before.
Cool, that's courage. Pallas Athena was the warrior goddess. There's a whole story about her, but she ended up going to war with her father, going against his wishes, right? And
sounds accurate.
Cool. Wow. So it's like you get this sense of courage from your personal resources, maybe being like self-sufficient, your money. Yeah.
And it's interesting because my dad's a Taurus, and that's why I think we clash so much, because he's very like fixed. I'm right all the time, and I'm like
That's cool. And let's see here. Third house is like Gemini. So it represents our mind and our intellect, also our communication style, and our siblings. Um, Sibling relationships, our peer relationships, like friends is more like 11th house is like friendships, social groups. But the third house is like how, yeah, like, you know, your siblings when you're growing up, or your close peers, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in your mind. So you have Ceres, which is the goddess of abundance. That's another asteroid. That's a lot of these asteroids that are in here. They're so big that they're sort of becoming like small planets now. So that's why they're pretty significant in the chart. So the goddess of abundance, so that can be money, but it can also be, and you have another master number here, 11, which is like old soul energy. Yeah, so, and that's in the sign of Libra, which is also a air sign, intellectual, mental, and yeah, so like getting a lot. Oh yeah, I was gonna say it could be financial abundance for sure, but it's also like just where you get this sense of abundance from in your own life. So relationships, communicating in a harmonious way, your intellect, your mind, communicating with others, your siblings, your peers could have been very like abundant relationships for you. And then being in Libra, that's very like harmonious and beautiful and balanced. So that's pretty lovely. And then you can also like see, this is where it gets like, you know, more complicated. We can do this maybe another time, but it's pretty cool to look at like what rules your houses. So like your second house is ruled by Virgo as well. So that would be to take a Virgo approach to your second house would be ideal, right? Would be like the way that you can access the most benefit from that house.
Oh, I love that, because like I need it, because those are both earth signs, right? Virgo and Taurus, the second house, which is like so not my natural state of being, is grounded.
Yeah. But if you look at, say, your finances, your sense of security, your second house, like, you know, do you find you deal with it in a very like analytical, kind of detail oriented way, or that maybe you see how you could?
I think I'm like in a middle ground with finances. Like I'm definitely not reckless and like disorganized. Like I can hold on to money and save well, but I'm not like I have a bookkeeper because I'm not organized enough to like do my books and keep things straight.
But even that right now, they're like hiring a bookkeeper, right? Like a lot of people wouldn't do that, right? So that's like almost in a way that is almost taking a Virgo approach, because they're so, you know, Virgos can be so like perfectionistic, and I think that's a great place for your second house to be, right? But yeah, you can actually like, yeah, like take on the Virgo energy in your second house and apply it there, and that would be like, yeah.
I really like that. I'm gonna lean into that for sure. Because like I said, like we're recording now, but I said like my whole week has been so disorganized. I'm like, I need to just like take a couple hours at the end of my work week to organize myself for the upcoming week, or else I'm just like a chicken with my head cut off. Because like I have all this fire energy that's telling me to do more. So I have to like find that earth energy to like ground it.
Yeah. And let's see here, your third house is in Libra, so it's like your mind, your thinking, like a good way to go about this area would be like harmony, finding harmony, balance, peace, beauty. So it's like the ruler of your third house, right? It's interesting that your IC, your fourth house, falls right in the middle of Libra and Scorpio. So it's like that that transition point from Libra, relationship, partnership, thinking about others, to Scorpio, which is surrender and like ego death. So it's kind of interesting that it's on the cusp. Fourth house, your IC represents like your home. So it can be your physical home. It can also be the mother, and it's also the home within yourself, who you are deep down when no one else is around, kind of thing. So, and you do have Pluto there. So Pluto can represent like also a death and transformation of sorts, and like where you get your inner power from. So, you know, from going deep, like deep inside of yourself, you also have this like real, like deep power. So that's really beautiful. Yeah. And then it could also represent, like, it's very well aspected. There's lots of like harmonious lines there. You know, and then it's like squaring with your Jupiter there. So it could be like kind of challenging you to grow more. But like Pluto can literally represent like a death of sorts, right? So it's like you could look back to your home growing up, or your, you know, the like mother, like relationship with the mother and stuff. So
yeah, that the whole like mother ing relationship, like with my own mother and then like within myself and my own journey, has been like a huge theme in my life. Like I always thought my mom was like, we were put here to like challenge each other. Like we were best friends, but we also like fought a lot because we like challenged each other on a lot of things.
That's really beautiful. Yeah. And then we take that relationship into ourselves, and as we grow up, become our own mothers, right? So.
Yeah. And my mom was a Scorpio. That was her sun sign.
Cool. And fifth house is where it's at for you. You also have, like, you probably knew that you had 4 planets in there, but you also have 2 asteroids in there too. So you have like, what's that?
It's a party.
it's a party in the 5th house. So it's like, okay, you're rising into Leo and becoming a Leo, but you're also like living a Leo life, you know, like your sun. So for anyone who doesn't know, so 5th house now is like the Leo energy, right? And 5th house represents our creativity, our expression of our creativity, our joys, the things that we create and give birth to in this lifetime. So it represents like actually creativity, like what do you want to create in this life? Could be businesses, art, what have you, but also children, procreation, family. Often like when people have a lot of, and then you have all your Sagittarius too. So when people have a lot of energy in the 5th house, it's like focusing on you rather than again, because it's like the polarity between Leo, the opposite is Aquarius, which is like that more detached, thinking about everyone else, where the 5th house in Leo is like my joy, but in a really loving way. Like they are kind of self-centered, but they want everyone to feel that love. They're ruled by the sun. So they kind of believe that they are the sun. So it's like, yeah, it can be ego, but it's like, but they bring so much light and joy and love to everyone around them. They just have to like check their egos a little bit, and then they're like, good. Yeah. And then they're just such a beautiful sign. And so, yeah. So the balance between, like, the tendency for you might be to like fall into, and you were like nodding earlier when I was talking about your rising sign in Leo, like falling into the Aquarius, like thinking about like the bigger picture and everyone else, rather than like pursuing your own joy and your own creations, and trusting that that is beneficial for everyone as well. So that's like the house that it's in, right? But then we have like your 5th house is ruled by Sagittarius, which, like we were talking about before, could be like a tendency to be very like far-sighted with your creations, and you're like pursuing this sense of joy and creativity as well, and like uncommitting to something once you're done with it, right? Like that Sagittarius can do. I guess they're like a little bit almost self-centered in that way, but it's like self-centered because they're so focused on growing and learning and expanding and teaching. So it's all good in the end, but their personal relationships can suffer because they're like, where are you? Where are you going? You know? Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting place for the fifth house to be, like the combination of Leo and Sagittarius.
It's
Mhm.
interesting with you how you said like, so I'm like growing into Leo with it being my ascendant, and I think it's also my north node, so that's also what I'm like learning in this life, right? And then
Yeah, your North Node's
have
in Capricorn, so I'm definitely
oh
excited to talk about the North Node too. Yeah.
oh interesting, okay. um but then having like all those planets in the fifth house, like that definitely resonates with me because I feel like I am how like I do have a lot of that Leo energy naturally, but my experiences so far in this life has like squished all of that energy, and it's been like, don't draw attention to yourself, don't be confident, don't be proud, like don't think about yourself, you have to think about other people first, you know? So now I'm like unpacking all of that and like relearning that it is okay to be all of those things. So it's really cool how it comes up, and like getting my chart read was the thing that made me realize like, oh, I have a lot of this Leo energy in me, like let's go find it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, that's the thing with the astrology. Like people just think like, oh, like I am a Leo rising, so I should be able to, you know. But the thing is, we go on a journey of learning, right? It's just like the typical Aquarian story is like they don't just come into this world and they're like, oh, I'm weird, different, I'm gonna go create stuff. No, they try to fit in, and they have to go through a really painful process of realizing that they don't fit in. They have to strike out on their own, you know, and then they end up forming a group of one usually, and then eventually, you know, and it's like they have to go on this painful journey, right? And like we were talking about Scorpio a lot last time, and it's like to discover their like power and their like intelligence and really like stepping into the potential of Scorpio, they have to go through like a painful process of letting go and surrendering. Yeah, so
Hmm.
totally, it's like, and then especially once we hit like our 30s and over, I think for most people, unless they're like really resisting their lessons, or sometimes lessons happen more later in life, but I feel like typically it seems to be around 30. Then we start to really actually become like our astrology chart and like what we're meant to become, but we have to go through these processes, right?
Definitely. Yeah, like I'm 30 now, and like I just finished my Saturn return in December 2020. And after that, it was like, bloop, I understand it. You know, I feel all of this. But before that, I was like very resistant.
Mm-hmm. um so I don't want to we're gonna run out of time soon, but so I also want to talk about the sixth house.
Mhm.
So yeah, okay, so just one more thing too, like you also have Uranus showing up in the fifth house as well, which is like unexpected sudden changes. Right, it's like lightning strikes. So where in your life you kind of experience these like sudden changes and lightning strikes, it's been in your fifth house as well, so that's kind of interesting too. It's like, I don't know, changing, and then with Mercury there in your fifth house too. I don't know, maybe like you said you're good at starting things, right? So it's like
My life
maybe
is
like
one big unexpected change. Like I call myself a tornado of change because like a lot of people fear change, and I'm just like constantly looking for things to change because I love it so much.
there you go. Yeah, yeah, and it shows up in your fifth house, so it's like um yeah, changing, I want to say like changing your mind about like projects and creations and stuff, but it's just like um yeah, just changing, not in a bad way, not in like I can't decide kind of way. But it's just
It's interesting that you said that, like, I can't decide kind of way, because I was going to say, like, I do change my mind easily and quickly, but it's always like well felt through. Like, I don't just like change my mind on a whim, but as soon as I've decided I'm going to do something or not going to do something, I act on it immediately. Like, I don't wait, you know? So,
yeah. And you also have like, okay, so I mentioned that you have Venus and Black Moon Lilith at the 13th degree. And those are two like divine feminine planets and the divine feminine number. But then you have Juno, which is the asteroid that represents long-term committed partnerships, soulmates, marriages, but it can also be like long-term business partnerships or best friendships. It can be like marriage, right? So that's what this asteroid represents. And you have it's at the 14th degree of Sagittarius. So they are this conjunction of like divine feminine. Okay, so like I was saying, Venus is like um your abundance, your like receiving, your feminine energy, how you relate with other people, your likes, your desires, that like you said, the things you attract. Okay, so it's a really beautiful energy. Black Moon Lilith is like where we've been suppressed in life and where we will rise up into our divine feminine power. And then Juno is like committed, long-term committed partnerships and soulmates. So you have this like, wow, you have like three like divine feminine, like this combination of because the Lilith is like learning energy, right? It's like that, you know, like I said, it's like where you've been suppressed and where you will rise up. In combination with this like real like abundant, beautiful energy of Venus and Juno. So I would also say like that explains why you were saying earlier about like you know, say like when you're done with the growth in a relationship or whatever, it's like you have no or in a project, say, because you have the fifth house there. So it's like when you're done, goodbye, like kind of thing. And ready to move on to the next thing. Like this would also be like a part of your process of like stepping into your divine feminine power, how you really like create these like long-term committed partnerships. Is through that process as well. Yeah. So that's like so beautiful. It is all opposing with your Mars. So, you know, it could be kind of like learning to balance the masculine and feminine energy. Can also be kind of, we didn't even touch on that quite yet, but like I see that in a couple of places in your chart as well. It's like a big lesson for you is to balancing out the masculine and feminine energy. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's interesting with like you were saying with the Venus and Lilith and Juno. Because one thing that I've really been like, I keep coming back to is this idea of like I build communities. Like I know that that's kind of like my one of my biggest strengths is not so much about like tarot card readings or spirituality, but it's the community aspect of it all. So one place that my mind keeps going is like not so much the idea of like sisterhood where like we're all like sitting around doing yoga and meditating, but like a sorority. Like, and that's so like fifth house vibes. Like we're having fun, we're playing games, like, but we're all gathering together, but it's like very party atmosphere.
Yes. Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, you're right. It's like bringing this divine feminine energy into what you're creating. And I see that everywhere too with all the 13s, and yeah, it's really powerful. And Mars retrograde in Gemini, not a bad thing because your Mars is still in Gemini. That's like a great gift, right? Fire and air, like being able to kind of do a lot of different things. And it's like being the jack of all trades and a master of many, right? So, but retrograde kind of sends that energy a little bit more inwards, kind of slows it down. It is like opposing, like, you know, your sun and your Venus and everything there. So that just kind of, you know, it'll be like a challenge to sort of like tap into that energy, I guess. at times. Like, what do you think? I'm curious, like, about the Mars retrograde energy.
So Mars is like passion and purpose, right?
Yeah, your drive to
Yeah.
achieve. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm definitely a very like purposeful and passionate person, and I definitely like have that drive, but I see the retrograde part of it because I don't think I'm not aggressive. I'm not like in
Oh,
your face. I'm not pushy about it. I'm just like, I'm gonna do this thing and you can like come along for the ride or not, but I'm
yes.
doing it.
Okay. See, that's what I kind of thought when I saw it too. Like it adds this feminine quality to the masculine like energy of Mars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's also at the fourth degree, which is Cancer as well. That
Mm-hmm.
sensitive, that feminine sign. So yeah. And it's in your 10th house, so it definitely would be like adding a lot of energy and drive to your 10th house, which is how other people see you, your reputation, your career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really beautiful. And okay, so let's move on a little bit to the 6th house, which is ruled by Virgo, which is like, okay, once you've integrated the 5th house, you're expressing your joy, you're following your creativity, and you're having kids, whatever, you're, enjoying your life. And then you got 6th house is like, okay, now I'm ready to really apply my gifts and become relevant, um, and really like be of service. So it's like the house of, it's related to Virgo, so it can show us where, um, it actually shows us also the health of our physical body. So if you look to, I'm not going to look it up right now, but like the 6th house in Capricorn. So for you, you can look up like specific Capricorn health issues,
Mm.
and that would maybe give you some insight. Like,
Yeah, that would be like, because Sagittarius is the hips. So Capricorn would be like knees and thighs, I'm guessing. Because
mm,
then Pisces is ankles. So somewhere between hips and ankles. Lower body.
right, and then like how those things relate to the movement of fluids and etc. So it can
Mhm,
apply to all, like how like the hips then relates to the digestive system and etc. etc.
mhm,
So but yeah, I don't know, still learning about that too, but I found for myself like my sun sign definitely is pretty exact for me in the area of health, but then also the 6th house really gave me a lot of insight as well.
mm,
So um but so yeah, that's kind of the 6th house. You can see like your work, your service, the kind of details of daily life and how you like apply your gifts and really like start to put them into practice and be of service. That's like kind of what the 6th house represents for you. Being ruled by Capricorn, it's like how you're being of service is by building, like, Capricorn is all about structure, authority, um, uh, building, like, being ambitious and setting big goals for yourself and building on them. So, like, building businesses, right? That's kind of like how you're kind of focused on, like, putting your gifts into benefiting the world. You have your north node there at the 29th degree. So the 29th degree is critical. It's like this energy of like, I have already been here learning this lesson. So it's like the 29th degree of Capricorn. So perhaps in this lifetime, your soul is evolving through being of service. And like I said, like building businesses, building things, uh, could be like learning through the power dynamics and authority, or being an authority figure, or dealing with authority. And it can be like politics and governments as well. But this is like how your soul is evolving, is through your work, your service, your, like I said, building, like setting big goals for yourself and achieving them, like this Capricorn energy. But you might feel at times like, I already know this. I already have been doing this maybe for lifetimes. And yet this is how your soul is choosing to evolve again in this lifetime. So I also see here another balance of, because it's also at the 29th degree, which can be this energy a little bit of like exhaustion, like I'm over and done with this. I know this, but this is how your soul is evolving. And then with your south node in Cancer, and your north node in Capricorn, I also saw there another example of like balancing the masculine and feminine energies, like in this example, like needing to kind of let go of the Cancer, the sensitive, the mothering, nurturing energy, and how you're not to do it all the time because you need to have a balance, but in this lifetime, like you're really being pushed to like grow and build and expand through like Capricorn, which is a bit more of a like masculine energy.
I'm into that.
You got Saturn there too, again at the 22nd degree, master builder, Saturn in Capricorn, Saturn in the 6th house. So, you're being challenged to, Saturn is our greatest challenges and our greatest rewards. So again, to like be of service and work and, all those things, like Saturn's there too. So it's adding another like push for you and another kind of significance to your 6th house. Yeah, and then
from this, I'm getting like, you're like kicking my ass in the terms of like, I know you don't want to organize, and I know you don't like to use your calendar and your day planner, but you have to get your shit together because it's actually going to be really helpful for you.
Yeah, and then like with the south node in the 12th house in Cancer, it is kind of like, yeah, the tendency would be to fall back into that like feminine, flow, sensitive, spiritual, connected, like all one, all connected with the universe, like kind of needing to kind of let go of that and step into Capricorn more. And then yeah, the combination of Capricorn and Virgo, which is 6th house, is totally like you said, like analytical, like use your calendar, use your schedule, like build. And then you have like with Chiron there in Cancer as well, opposing your Saturn in so it's also like there's work to do, there's healing to do in the 12th house, but ultimately you have to like let it go and step into your 6th house and your Capricorn.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that idea of like, yes, there's healing to do, but it doesn't have to like be your main focus. Like it can happen like back here and like it'll work through on its own.
And you have Jupiter in the 12th house too, so it's not like you should like ignore that area of life, right? Like it's, I mean, actually, like all of the houses, and that's also why I'm gonna stop there as far as reading your chart. But just about the houses, like that's why like people are like, oh, I have no planets in the 7th house. Like, what does that mean? It's like, no, but you have a 7th house. You have Aquarius is ruling your 7th house. So like we all have, and that's also why, talking about like embodiment and embodying the signs, like it's really helpful for everyone to embody like any one of the zodiac signs, because whether it's really significant in your chart or not, it's somewhere for you in your chart, and it's helpful to tap into that energy and to find out like where it is in your chart, and yeah, where that's being expressed.
Yeah. Beautiful, thank you.
You're welcome. I wish I could have got through the whole thing, but
Oh no, that's why I sign up and get a full one from you.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe for the group, I can actually do a post about the house system. So to kind of complete that thought, right? Because we got all the way to the 6th house, and kind of do a little lesson on houses.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, that was super helpful. I feel much more like ease around the ideas of like consistency and structure and organization. Because like I get like I'll have like 1 or 2 days where I'm like so on it and I'll like clean up everything and organize everything. And then the next 28 days, I'm like, it just becomes a mess again. Not that I'm a messy person. I just like kind of like end up letting go a little bit of the organization. So this is definitely like inspiring to like lean into that more as like that challenge grows, like growing through difficulty kind of
You just froze,
energy.
Allie.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Oh, you froze at that you need to lean into that energy more.
yeah, of like
connection, yeah.
growing through challenge. Like it's not gonna be fun, but it's gonna be good for you. 'Cause now you're a
Like
grown-up.
that sixth house Capricorn, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But then you have like the South Node also shows like where your gifts are. So you can like it's like you naturally tap into that like divine feminine power that you have and that like Cancer energy. Like you have that, but the tendency is to because our souls evolve through challenge, like you said. So yeah, totally. It's like that finding that balance of like tapping in and then also your gift of having a fire trine. It's like you are fire. You know, you have to tap into that like starting, creating, and fire is like a masculine energy, right? So like you have to step into those gifts, but then also yeah, finding the balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all the master numbers and all the repeating numbers, I think were so cool
Yeah.
in your chart. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never looked at the degrees before. That was really interesting to add that layer into it.
Yeah, I don't know all of them, but you can see like 1 through 12 also can relate to the zodiac signs as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, every astrology teacher kind of does it a little bit differently. So, you know, I always look at like repeating numbers or master numbers. But like, and then 1 through 12 can be like, oh, this is another kind of pointing to Pisces or whatever it is. Like, so it kind of just adds another element to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for offering your astrology chart and yeah, I hope everyone like if anyone's listening to the recording, I hope you enjoy it and post any questions that you have in the comments so we can further your learning as well or share what you got from this as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you want your own live chart reading, make sure you send Amanda a DM to get on the list. She just does these like half-hour sessions when she obviously can't get through your whole chart in that amount of time. So she also has on her website full birth chart readings that you can sign up and have that whole session done, which as you can see, like it teaches you so much about who you are. And like I got into astrology about a year ago and I've learned so much about myself through my birth chart. And like I said with the Leo stuff, like, oh, okay, that's already in me. Like what's covering it up? What's on top of it? What can I shed and release to like be more free to be myself?
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Ali. Yeah, and my Instagram is astrology.roots. And I've been posting quite a bit on there. And um, and yeah, and then my website is astrologyroots.com. And you can actually get a full reading with me if you're interested. I have a few different options, but the main one is like this, except it's a lot more in depth. Um, and it's yeah with a recording that you can keep forever and yeah totally and then I'm going to do these live chart readings for a while too, not forever, you know, so if you're interested in getting a quick but free and live chart reading that you're okay with like sharing you know having your information be seen, then yeah definitely send me a DM and let me know if you're interested. So yeah.
Thank you so much for offering these and for taking the time today to do mine.
It's so fun, I love it.
Me too.
All right, okay. Well, have a great day, and I'll send you this recording once it's all ready.
Thank you so much. You have a great day too.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye.